Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Winning Wednesdays. I'm your host, Attorney Elsa W. Smith. I'm also the owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith, an estate planning firm committed to empowering women through estate planning. A bit of housekeeping before we start. We're streaming on StreamYard, so if you would please allow StreamYard to see us allow us to see your comments. That is, go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Again, I'm really glad that all of you are joining us today. We're going to talk about a pretty important topic. The topic today is how to talk with your aging parents about creating an estate plan. Now, I ran a pretty informal poll on LinkedIn recently, and the question was, do you find it difficult to talk with your parents about their estate plan? And more than half of the people that responded said no. And that's great. That's good. Now, for the other more than 40% who answered yes, this episode was made with you in mind. You know, I decided to do a show on this topic after hearing from some of my clients. You know, some clients expressed frustration that their parents had not gotten their estate plans done. What they get from their parents in terms of resistance are statements like these. For example, I don't have much left. I'm sure that you kids will figure everything out amongst yourselves. Or you might hear something like this. You know, talking about this is just upsetting to me. So, you know, the parent shuts down. If you are blessed to have your parents still alive, I hope that this episode will provide some suggestions that may help you get your parents closer to creating a plan, or at least make it easier for you to have the conversation. So this episode is going to be broken down into two parts. The first part, I'm going to cover why you may be encountering some resistance. And then the second part is going to be me making some suggestions on how you can get the conversation going. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. You know, many older generations or people from older generations, they find it difficult to talk about private things such as money, property, and their personal business. You know, few of us like to consider the fact that our parents are going to pass away, that they're going to die. But nothing is going to change that. And I've said it before, we all have an expiration date. The truth is that avoiding these end of life discussions and incapacity planning discussions and failing to help your aging loved ones prepare for this is going to make the experience a lot more difficult and painful for the entire family, you know, in the long run. So now, as I said before, we're going to try to unpack this, understand the why. Why is there that resistance that I referred to before? So the first one is they want to avoid discussions of death or incapacity, which makes sense. You know, no one wants to think about being bedridden or dying, you know, and parents don't typically enjoy having the roles reversed so that the children are now caring for them, or at least they have to plan for it. That may cause a lot of discomfort. So keep that in mind. The second possible cause is poor family communication history. You know, sometimes family communications were never characterized by honesty and openness, and it makes it awkward. and difficult to suddenly, move in that direction. So in other words, if your family dynamic is one of drama and a lack of trust, especially between you and your parents, you should not be surprised that it's difficult to talk about such important topics like this now. The third cause, they can just say, you know what, I'm just a really private person. It's possible that your parent, in fact, is a private person. They may be, as I said, part of a generation that found it rude or disrespectful to discuss their personal affairs and business, with others. They are leaving different amounts to each child, which is a reason that they may not want to discuss their plans with you. Their plan may not appear to be fair or equal. It's not unusual for a parent to maybe favor one child over another for various reasons. The parent may find that one child has provided more care and assistance to the parents in their elderly years, and they may have a different economic situation compared to, the other siblings. Regardless of the reasons, if the parents decide to treat their children unequally, the children need to be prepared to accept the decisions of their parents. In the instance when the children, assure parents that no matter what their parents have chosen, they will still love and appreciate them, the parents are often more open, I should say, to discussing their estate plan when they know that everybody's kind of on the same page. The next reason is quite troubling, and that is the presence of abuse. Now, that's another reason that if children are abusive or have addictions that they are dealing with or appear to be manipulative towards their parents, yeah, you bet that that's going to be a reason for your parents to shut down. And let me be blunt. If this is you, you need help, but it's not from an estate planning attorney. Okay, and this video is not for you. Ultimately, your parents' estate plan is their own, it's theirs. It's their property. It's their assets, right? There's no legal means available that's going to force your parents to discuss any of these items with you if they don't want to. If you fit into this category of the abusive or troubled child, the only thing I can say to you is that you need to work on yourself to build an honest and trusting relationship with your parent. And you should live your life in a way where your parents feel that they can trust you. And when this occurs, parents are more open to discussing estate planning with their children. One of the things that I talk to my clients about when selecting people to play roles in their estate plan is, who do you trust? That's a question that I ask every single time, and there's a reason for that. These are important responsibilities, important roles in your plan, and if you cannot trust the person that you are assigning, at least from my standpoint, I'm not going to recommend that you move forward with that selection. It's ultimately your choice, but that would be where I stand. That would be my advice. Sometimes it may be helpful to have a third party involved in discussing, a third party professional involved in discussing your parents' estate plan, with you. And it often may include employing an estate planning attorney to assist with that. So now that I've shared with you a few reasons why parents may not want to discuss their estate plans with you. I now want to transition to, what are the solutions? How do we talk to our parents about estate planning? And I'm going to give you, if you're taking notes, a total of 9 tips. And remember, this episode will be available on replay. And by the way, if you are watching it on the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments so that I know that you caught it on the replay. But like I said, we're going to go over 9 tips, 9 suggestions that I have on how to talk with your parents about estate planning. The first one is to start the discussion from a place of respect. Stress that you want to know how to honor their wishes in accordance with their values. This can help avoid resentment from parents who may not want to accept the realities of aging or the possibility that they need help. Tip number 2, avoid judgment of your parents' financial or medical decisions. The goal is to have a productive conversation that convinces family, to take action towards estate planning. You don't want the meeting to degenerate into an argument, right? So the next tip is, consider your parents' perspective. Be aware that your parents may not see themselves as needing help, as I mentioned a second ago. In fact, they may resent the implication, even if your concerns are coming from a loving and respectful place. Try to be sensitive to those feelings while letting them know that you're not trying to take over their lives, but you want to make sure that you're able to support them in the ways that they need when the time does come. Right? Tip number 4, know the documents. An estate plan can include, a will, a power of attorney, an advance directive, and a trust. So you've heard me talk about those documents on other shows and in other posts. Each one of those serves a different purpose. But what they have in common is that they all name a party, an individual, to act in a way that's recognized by the law. Be familiar at a minimum with these documents and find out if your parents already have any of them, or and if they do, whether they need updating, right? So educate yourself on that. And by the way, there are free resources on my website, and it's elsawsmithlaw.com. Like I said, they're absolutely free. And if you want to, as I said, get to know some of these documents, that's a good place to start. And the next tip is to be mindful of your family dynamics. Consider who should be involved in the conversation. So if you have siblings, this is a great time to get on the same page. If you're part of, say, a blended family, it's a chance to, clarify the chain of command, clarify who's doing what. Getting all this information, hashed out now can help your family avoid disputes later. Let me say that again. Getting all this information hashed out now can help your family avoid disputes later. Tip number 6, pick a time to talk. There's usually no better time than the present, but you can also use stories, anecdotes, or even ask for advice on your estate planning to ease into the conversation. The holidays are a good time to address estate planning with your parents if your family will be gathering together. And I recently did a video on my YouTube channel at Elsa W Smith Law that talks about, having estate planning conversations during the holidays. So make sure and check that out. Tip number 7, look into professional help. A well-crafted estate plan should involve a qualified professional. This can be an estate planning attorney, a financial advisor, maybe a CPA or a tax attorney. Whomever you choose to loop in or bring into this conversation, make sure that you research their background and qualifications. Tip number 8, follow up. The conversation doesn't have to end once everybody goes home for the holidays. This conversation should evolve, but it's really critical not to think of it as just a one and done conversation. All right. Just like your estate planning. Your estate planning is not one and done. Your estate planning is going to evolve. And I've said that before. And then finally, number 9, get your own estate planning done. You could say that you're doing your own estate planning so that there's no question about who gets what when you're gone, and then ask whether your parents have taken any similar steps. You might even admit that it's kind of awkward and difficult to have the conversation, for you. And, since you're not wishing for their death, you're not hoping for their death, of course, you're just simply trying to figure things out. And it's a good time to have the conversation when people are healthy, when people can express their wishes, and there's no conflict, there's no drama, in the atmosphere. Right? So to review, we talked about the causes, what may cause a parent not to want to have the estate planning conversation with you. And then we also talked about solutions, because on this show, we not only, identify problems, we bring solutions to help you. And we specifically in this episode, we talked about 9 suggestions, and that's all they are, suggestions, for how to start the conversation. And as I said in one of the tips, how to continue, or that the conversation should continue. It should not be a one and done. So I hope all of this information has been valuable to you. If you don't have your estate planning done, and we're getting to the end of 2021, and if you'd like to get your estate plans, give them a jump start, I have a free resource for you. It's called the Estate Planning Jumpstart Guide, how to jumpstart your estate plan in 7 steps. You can go to my website, elsawsmithlaw.com. Go to the resources tab, open the drop down, and there you'll find it. Like I said, it is a free resource. Use it, share it, and hopefully it will motivate you to get your estate plan done. And once, as I just talked about, once you are getting your estate plan done, you could actually be the model for your parents. If they're having resistance, if they're really not sure or they're overwhelmed, you might be the one that has to be the catalyst to start that change in your family. And I referred to it before as changing the generational narrative. Maybe it all starts with you. So make sure and get that free resource, and check out my videos on YouTube at elsawsmithlaw.com for more information on estate planning, basic documents, and other issues that I think you'll find interesting. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Women Winning Wednesdays. As I said, if you need assistance with estate planning and estate administration or probate matters in Maryland or the District of Columbia, I want to invite you to schedule a strategy session. You can contact us at 410-995-7719. You see the information there on the screen. I'm Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney, empowering women through estate planning. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next episode. Have a great day, everyone.